7 years. 7 years! And not only did Porter Robinson finally release a new album, but he also held the 3rd annual Second Sky Festival, dubbed Secret Sky for the last 2 years as it was held online due to circumstances. So this whole weekend was a Porter Robinson weekend for me. I listened through Nurture for the first time, I explored the virtual festival grounds of Secret Sky, and I got battered by a wave of nostalgia. Here's your spoiler warning. If you want to listen to Nurture without any of my bias in mind, then go listen to that first, and then come back and watch the video so that we can talk about it. I'll wait. Okay, now that they're gone, can you believe that they haven't listened to Nurture yet? Oh my god. I was around 17 when I listened to the world's release on NPR, and I got so attached to that album, like immediately, right off the bat. I listened to it everywhere. I listened to the live edits specifically all throughout college at least once a month. One of the things that I'm most known for in my internet communities is that I'm a huge Porter fan. And because of that, I'm scared to admit that I was really scared for a new album. I was so attached to Worlds. It was a really important album for me and definitely for a lot of other people, which is one of the reasons why Porter had a really hard time releasing anything else since then. The expectations were just way too high.
Well, I guess what I would say is that if you're struggling to create the art that you want to due to fear, rejection, or anxiety, then you're the same as me. I still go through that too, and it's completely normal. It's not something to resist or to try to fight. It's part of the process. If you really care about what you're doing, then there's gonna be some degree of fear that's inherent in that. And I'm working on new music right now. I had sort of an episode 2 or 3 days ago where I was really frustrated and sad and scared and really wanting it to exist, but worrying that it wouldn't exist. And I would just say that there's nothing wrong with you if you're afraid when you're working on art.
So Nurture tells the story of Porter really fighting with that, teaching himself how to learn to love to create again, and along the way he produced this album. He announced it on January 28th, 2020, which, as you might have noticed, was a little more than a year ago. Nurture is an album about overcoming those inner voices telling you that you've done what you could and you can't do anymore. And for what it's meant to be, it's really lovely. Maybe you thought the same, maybe you disagreed, but regardless, we get to listen to Porter experimenting a little bit with songwriting, and we get to kind of peek into his mental state for the last few years.
So Nurture, this album, sort of tells the story of me clawing my way out of that and learning to make music again and changing my mentality and learning to sing and falling in love and ultimately finding meaning in what I'm doing beyond what it does just for me.
I really resonate with that. It's kind of what the point of this YouTube channel is. I'm just using each video to kind of find love in making things again. But back to Nurture, I did record my initial reactions to each track, and overall it was pretty positive. But I guess that depends on what you mean by positive, because it did make me cry a couple times.
Oh my god. Scared
Are you okay?
me. Yeah.
Porter live tweeted the album a couple days ago, so while I was listening through Nurture, I was also bouncing between those tweets and the lyrics. It really felt like he was going back to sentimental basics with tracks like Blossom and Sweet Time, and classic piano writing, and then listening to him explore and play around with different production tools like LFO and panning, some synthy sound design, lots of rhythmic patterns. Those parts were very stimulating and lots of bright sounds to listen to. To kind of contrast it, we also get to hear a lot more from him vocally. Everyone says to write what you know, and he was writing a lot about his mental state for the last few years, so the whole album is very personal for him.
I just wanted these sweet major key songs. That was what made my heart soar. It was the thing that made me feel kind of teary. And then in the lyrics, that's where I would try to inject some pain. Even though the lyrics are on the whole quite hopeful, I also tend to give a voice to this negative internal monologue a lot, I think, through the lyrics. And that's where there's those lyrics that I would write that I felt like kicked me in the stomach when I would sing them. I would that kind of feeling. That's sort of what was there to balance out the sweetness.
From what I've gathered, it seems like a lot of people are absolutely love-struck by the album. Some find it really refreshing, and there are some people who were underwhelmed. And I was kind of part of that camp too. I'm a little embarrassed to admit, but I felt the same when he was sprinkling out those singles throughout the year. But Porter kind of expected that reaction, and I kind of wish he didn't pre-release so many of the tracks as singles. He mentioned several times that he thinks that some of the tracks are growers, but I don't really agree with that. His Virtual Self project was a grower for me, because I wasn't used to that kind of energy from him, but it did grow on me. However, I wasn't as hesitant to like any of the tracks on Nurture as I was to on Virtual Self, but nothing particularly resonated with me until I started to piece together the context context surrounding the album. An important aspect of that context is his community. He created game-changing visuals for Worlds, Shelter, and Virtual Self, and he really wanted to create something special for Nurture. So Porter Robinson teamed up with Active Theory and Dreamwave Technology to create an entire virtual reality festival celebrating the release of Nurture. It was incredibly well done and available across pretty much every platform, except Firefox. For some reason. Every lineup included time zones and everyone was invited. I borrowed Quentin's VR set for this, but it wasn't loading at first, so I spent most of the time in the browser. Eventually I did try it again, but I'm extremely new to VR, so I didn't know how to move and I got stuck underneath the ground. I also got a little bit of motion sickness, but anyway, we all got to explore the portals and meet up with friends, which took several attempts and a couple VPNs. Every set was incredible, shout out to Laxity, and I got to chat with some buddies in Discord, so overall I had a really great time. Unfortunately, for my time zone, the entire festival would stretch out from 9 p.m. until like 6 a.m. and I started to get really sleepy at around midnight 30 because I'm old now. Happy birthday to me. I got ready for bed and I tried to join again via VR while I was laying down, and that didn't really work. I woke up and while half asleep I forgot why I set my alarm in the first place and I hit snooze. I only remember hitting snooze once, but Quentin told me I hit snooze like 5 times, so there was no chance of me waking up. When I woke up again, officially, at 9 a.m., my entire timeline was flooded with everyone nostalgic over the event and excited about some good news. Second Sky will hopefully be held in real life again this fall. Getting tickets in 2019 was so stressful, so I won't be surprised if I'm unable to get tickets for this year, but I really hope to, and I really hope to see you there. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you this Saturday on Twitch for a live stream, and next Tuesday right here for another new video. And everyone's re-uploading their Second Sky sets, so I'm gonna go watch the ones that I missed now. Okay, bye.